This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech. Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
Electricast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Claudia Monticelli, and welcome to my podcast. We'll dive into the heart of mystery with Let's Talk Soul. It's a podcast that fearlessly explores the essence of the soul. And of course, without claiming to know it all, we offer enlightening insights and entertaining stories to deepen your understanding. Let's Talk Soul is a gateway to unraveling the soul's mysteries in an engaging and thought-provoking way. So get ready for some riveting conversations that challenge, entertain, and enlighten. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the captivating journey, the captivating journey with Let's Talk Soul. Welcome aboard. Why did I mention Germany? Because our next wonderful guest, Naden, has been traveling around Europe, originally from New Zealand. Now, Liam, say hello to our audience, and then I'll introduce you properly.
Yeah, hi everyone, and hello Claudia, and it's great to be with you.
Good. It's a pleasure for us. I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it is. So, Liam Naden. I'm having trouble today. Why is that? I swear I didn't touch the bottle. Liam is a speaker. He's a teacher, an author, and researcher, and creator of a 4-part brain model which explains how and why most people are stuck in their life. It's from trying really to create their own reality using the wrong part of the brain. His work combines spirituality with science, and that's a very rare combination. Liam, I really appreciate that. Of all of the, I must have over 250 episodes, and of all of those, I've spoken to a total of 3 that overlapped science with spirituality, and that's why I appreciate this so much. And he explains that we're wired for freedom, but we're manipulated to be locked into the wrong part of the brain. So the result is a shutting down of our awareness and our power. In the description of the episode, I will link and list all of his social media and allow you to be able to contact him. Liam, where do we start? This 4-part brain model, I'll go one step back and ask you to talk of our life's purpose as taught by spiritual and religious traditions and science. So I know this is a big ask, but let's see if we can start to broach the subject.
Sure. Well, I guess, it's a question that many people, maybe you and a lot of your listeners might be asking as well, or maybe you've never even asked that question or thought it's too difficult to answer. But what is our purpose for being here? What is the purpose of our life? And I guess, depending on which spiritual tradition you come from or what your beliefs are, everyone's probably got a different definition of the purpose of our life. But there's actually one thing we can all agree on. So no matter what our spiritual background, or no matter what our thinking about who we really are, because obviously we are multidimensional, but we can all agree on one thing despite all of that, and that is we all live in a physical body. So we all
Yes.
have a physical element or role to play in this physical world, if you like. So we can agree on that. So therefore we can ask the question, well, what is our biological purpose? What is the purpose of life as we know it? And there is a very clear answer to that. If you were to ask any biological scientist or anyone involved in the natural sciences, you'd say, yes, there's only one purpose to life, or one overriding purpose that all life is designed for primarily, and that is to survive. Everything
Absolutely.
biological is designed and wired to survive. And of course, when you think about that, what gives something the greatest chance for survival? Because we're biological as well, so we have the same biological purpose.
Right.
We're wired to seek to survive. And we're constantly trying and seeking to survive for as long as we can. And what that means is we're seeking to be the best that we can be, because the best that we are gives us the greatest chance for survival. Now, that obviously means physically. And if you look in the physical world, all animals and living things that are the best in their species, they're the ones that survive. So everything is striving to be its best so that it has the greatest chance for survival. But for
Am I
humans,
hearing, Liam, a little bit of Darwin's theory, or are we going to, because of course the survival of the fittest, and you mentioned it is a physical aim to survive. I just thought I threw that in and maybe resound some things that people might be thinking when you say that.
sure, well, I guess it's not, this is really just a scientific principle
Mm-hmm.
of what life is. Life
Mm-hmm.
is something that strives to survive, that is its primary functioning, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing about humans that makes us different is that being our best so that we have the greatest chance for survival doesn't just mean being our best physically.
Okay.
It also means being our best mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Okay. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when we have all of these things, when we are being our best in all of these ways, we are literally being the best that we can be, and that gives us the greatest chance for our survival. So in a really practical way, we are designed biologically to be at our best physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually so that we have the greatest chance for survival.
Well, but there are a lot of people who don't put the spiritually in that equation, physically, mentally, but they don't have that spiritually adverb there. So it's really not a given. Many people, I'm just giving you a mirror image of the people who I've met and dealt with. They uh, try to be the best they can, but many do not have an in or an inkling of what spirituality is, or the type of spiritual life or spiritual awakening and what it can do for them. So it's really not a generalized thing, I think. What do you think?
Well, I think part of the problem is we put words and labels on people, and
Mm-hmm.
really the spectrum of, if you like, mental, spiritual, and emotional development,
Mm-hmm.
or the way all of those things are expressed, they're going to be unique for each individual person.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But in terms of that person's makeup, they may not be a professed, highly developed spiritual person. But it's just like we're not all physically built for
Right.
perfection either.
Right. I get you.
But
Mm-hmm.
whatever our makeup is, whatever we are designed, or whatever our genetic DNA has
Mm-hmm.
thrown at us in the
Mm-hmm.
way of a formula,
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, that formula is seeking to express itself in the best way possible, so that that formula, if you like, or that recipe of DNA that is unique to you
Mm-hmm.
and is unique to each person, that is still seeking the fullest expression of itself, so that it has the greatest chance for survival.
So
So
wait a minute, just let me interrupt us a second. So our life's purpose is really to survive. Is that? what you're saying?
Our primary biological purpose,
Okay.
in other words, the purpose in this physical dimension, the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of our physical body, the expression we have of life, yes, the primary purpose through which that is wired
Mm-hmm.
is by being the best that we can be. And in fact,
Okay.
science even has a word for this. It's
Mm-hmm.
called homeostasis.
Homeostasis,
Homeostasis
yes.
means the optimum functioning of the organism. And if you look throughout nature, if you look at anything, any living species, whether it be a bird, a plant, an insect, you will, if you really observe it, you will notice that it has a perfection about it, that it is achieving this homeostasis. There have
Mm-hmm.
been some interesting research and conclusions drawn that I read recently. Someone did some research and concluded that nature, the natural world, is 98% successful. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, 98% of living things are achieving this state of homeostasis, the optimal functioning for that organism,
Mm-hmm.
being the best that it can be, and therefore ensuring that it has the greatest chance for survival.
Okay. Um, so I can ask you then, how are we designed to naturally achieve our life's purpose? Through those
Well,
four
that's the
elements that
interesting
you go ahead.
Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because you would also assume that if there was this natural law of success, that everything is
Yeah.
wired and designed
Mm-hmm.
to be the best that it can be so that it has the greatest chance for survival, you would assume that nature has provided some sort of mechanism or process or instrument or machine or tool for every organism to
Mm-hmm.
achieve that. I mean, it's not like you just throw it to chance or luck. Nature is designed that every organism has a mechanism to strive to achieve that. And of course, what that is the brain.
Yeah.
And literally on a biological level, all your brain is a machine with one
Mm-hmm.
purpose, and that is to ensure that you are the best that you can be so that you have the greatest chance for survival, so
Mm-hmm.
that you achieve your biological purpose. That's all the brain is.
Mm-hmm.
And it works in a very biological, very predictable, like any machine, it works in a very predictable way. But the thing is, if it's not used the right way, like any machine, that's how you end up with problems.
Mm-hmm.
And really our understanding of how to use the brain, or we've never been taught how to use the brain, and therefore we don't use it properly, most of us. And therefore, what is the result? There can only be one result, and that's problems. That's not achieving the state of feeling that we are being the best that we can be, being happy. That's what it comes down to. It's being happy as well, feeling fulfilled, aware, and that you're really being the best that you can be, that you feel that you have your purpose clearly in your body and in your soul mapped out in your life. Very few of
Okay.
us have that, but that is the definition of homeostasis for
Mm-hmm.
humans, because when we're in that state, we are literally being the best that we can be. We're giving
Mm-hmm.
ourselves the greatest chance for survival, and our brain is ensuring
Yeah.
that all happens.
Now let's focus in on that spiritually adverb that you mentioned, our spiritual nature. Can you describe it or expound on what is spirituality for you as a synonym, or however you would like to describe it? And then, of course, I'll jump in.
Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
It's Croctober, the official celebration of Crocs fans like you. So whether you like to rock your classic clogs, get cozy and fuss-lined, personalize with your favorite Jibbitz charms, or even, dress up like a clog for Halloween, it's time to tell your story and share your style. Join the Croctober celebration with Crocs fans around the world. Go to crocs.com to discover the range of shoes and find a pair that's iconic like you. Crocs, celebrating you all month long.
Well, I guess if you look at the various dimensions on which we all exist, I think spirituality, or my definition, is simply awareness.
Hmm.
It's awareness that you are something beyond the physical, that you inhabit the physical body, and you have a mind, if you like,
Hmm.
but these are not who you are. Your awareness raises to a point where you are aware that who you are is merely using those things to express itself. And the wonderful thing about if you use your brain the right way, which I'm sure we'll talk about,
Yeah.
you actually come to this awareness,
Hmm.
and your awareness expands way beyond what we generally experience when we're living our lives of stress and frustration. And
Hmm.
you become more aware of who you really are. And that state of becoming aware of who you really are, the state of higher awareness, and allowing yourself to experience this life rather than trying to struggle against it, this is actually this is in harmony with our natural biological state as well,
Well,
because this is our
it's
brain
not a,
working to.
there is not a one way, a straight line to awareness. A lot of people struggle with that. Um, and to imagine that simply in inverted commas, I'll say, being aware is an open door to your spirituality. It seems like, all right, I'll give you an example, okay? I deal with a lot of people. I have a lot of followers. I had a lot of clients, and the overriding question, no matter what, it's their physicians, psychologists, house cleaners, anything. You run the gamut. They invariably, the question is, well, what is my soul's purpose? Asking me to tell them what their soul's purpose is. And so I get the impression, could it be that they're not aware of, they have sort of a blind spot in their awareness where they don't see everything about themselves, or their, because that word awareness is sort of wide. It's a really wide highway to, there's this mindfulness uh, trend. I'm going to call it a trend way back when, and now it's here. It's it's used all over the place. So the Italians say it's like parsley; they put it everywhere. Now, being mindful is, yes, I can be mindful so I don't trip and fall down the stairs. I can be aware of the structure of a road so I can, look out for the holes or the gaps, or pitfalls in life. But is there something more? Um, is there something that needs to be developed with awareness? Because you said something about awareness, and I thought, well, how can you become aware? Do you work with people, and helping them learn to be aware?
Well, I guess what we need to realize, well, this is the conclusion I've come to, because for many years
Mm-hmm.
I studied all sorts of spiritual practices
Mm-hmm.
and personal development practices as well, everything to do with gathering more information, to meditation, to different techniques. But I
Mm-hmm.
think what we've tended to do is we've lost sight of who we are biologically, because this thing called our brain, and this
Yeah.
is taught through spiritual traditions
Mm-hmm.
throughout history. This thing that I call a machine, because it is a biological
Mm-hmm.
machine, it is far and away the most powerful machine that exists in the universe. I mean,
Okay.
anyone who's written a book about the brain
Mm-hmm.
comes to the final page and says, I'm sorry, I just cannot find words to express my wonder at the
Mm-hmm.
power of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
It has the computing power of 500 trillion microprocessors.
Mm-hmm.
So this is vastly more powerful, this machine, than we realize. And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, we don't realize that it only has one purpose, which is to make you the best that you can be on
Okay.
every level.
Give us that
So,
4-part brain model. Come on, come on. You're itching to talk
well,
about it.
if I can just explain,
Sure.
all of these things about it is designed, we talk about what is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Awareness to me is a knowing, and you can't quantify it. And many people throughout history have written books to describe awareness, but whenever you try and describe anything infinite, you fall short, because in defining it, it ceases to be
It
infinite.
ceases.
So a good example is love.
Mm.
How many
Okay.
people throughout history have tried to describe what love is? And nobody can describe what love is, but we all know what it is when we experience it, but we can't describe it. And that's the same with awareness. So the way we're designed to live biologically, we're designed for this 500 trillion microprocessor computer to ensure that we are the best that we can be on all levels. But what we do is we get in the way. We get in the way of it functioning because we're busy trying to work things out. We're asking questions like, what is my purpose? What should I do? I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. Now, all of these things have a direct effect. Not only they have an effect on your brain, but they indicate that you're using your brain incorrectly. Because here's a good example of how we're supposed to use our brain and how this whole awareness thing comes about. If you look in the Bible says, seek first the kingdom of heaven and everything else will be added. So you think, well, what is the kingdom of heaven? It doesn't tell you what, well, it does tell you what it is, but it also tells you where it is. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And it also tells you how to enter this kingdom, the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven really is nothing more than a state of awareness. It's a state of knowingness about who you are, that you are pure love. So how do you enter the kingdom of heaven? It says, it's very specifically, you must be like a little child to enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, if you think what a little child does, a little child does not set goals, try and figure stuff out, ask questions like, what is my purpose? What should I be doing? Why am I frustrated? How do I work it all out? It doesn't ask any of that. It just is. And there's a biological state that you enter when you just are, which can only come from some understanding about how your brain works, that not only do you expand this idea of your awareness, but everything else works in your life as well on every level, because that's what it's designed to make sure happen. So I think it's really, this is more than just a technique, because most of the time we're applying a technique on top of the wrong brain functioning. And that's a little bit
Give
like
us an example.
when you're in a state of stress, fear, and worry and anxiety. You're using a part of your brain that you're shutting down the part of your brain that is designed to make your life work, that is designed to keep you in the state of homeostasis. And I can explain, it's a biological reason why this is true. But if you think about, maybe an example is a motor car. Now, a motor car is a machine, and it has a very specific purpose. We know what that purpose is, to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And it's going to do it reliably, predictably, and you're going to have an enjoyable ride. Now, your job with a motor car is not to push the car to the destination and do the work. Your job is to use that machine for what it's designed for, so that it carries you to where you want to go. But what would happen if you got in a motor car and you didn't know how to drive it, and you pressed all the wrong buttons, and you didn't turn the engine on, and you put the wrong fuel in, and you had your foot on the... Nothing would happen. And if you were to think to yourself, oh, why isn't it going well? And someone came along and said, well, try this. Try putting a better stereo system in the car, or try changing the seats in the car. Try repainting the car. Or better still, try getting out and pushing the car from behind. That's the way you should drive it. Put in some effort. Don't just expect the car to do the job. Put in some effort. And you try all of that. And what would you say? You would say, there's something wrong with me. It's not working. I'm the problem. I need to try harder. I need to be more motivated. I need to find out from somebody else how to be stronger. I need to build up my muscles. And you've missed the point completely. And I think this is what we've left out. And, I spent many years studying all of these things, and I didn't get anywhere. I became a multi-millionaire, but then I lost everything and became homeless. So I thought, this hasn't really, all of the stuff I've learned hasn't really, if I'm really honest, got me to where I want to be. So I need to try a different approach. And when I tried a different approach, not realizing that it was my brain that I was using differently, my results were completely different. And on every level, instead of me chasing after success and trying to figure stuff out, everything fell into place. And I started to understand what was going on, and my life turned out a lot better. And I think that's what we're all seeking, is for our life to work, where we don't have these... We know there is this state of being the best that we can be, that we're all striving to achieve. And sometimes we feel it. Sometimes we have those moments of everything's going well. We feel in the flow or in the zone, and we just know that it's all working in place. That not only is that the state we're constantly trying to achieve, that's actually our natural biological state.
Yeah.
That's the way we're designed to be.
Let
We're not
me
designed to be stress
ask
and
you
problems.
a question. And this is getting into the personal. Forgive me for, diving in here. Your own spiritual life. I work with people from all over the world, and there are so many different spiritual traditions. Do you pray or how can I say it? Incantations, invocations. Do you have a form of prayer?
Well, I guess it comes down to what you define as prayer, doesn't it? I mean, I don't don't get on my knees and
Right.
say prayers in any formal sort of way. But what
Mm-hmm.
I do, and I don't know if you'd call this prayer,
Mm-hmm.
is I connect and communicate with this part of when I'm using this part of the brain that we're going to talk about, the one
Okay.
that's designed to make you the best that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
When you connect with that, when you're in tune with that, one of the things you do, or you can do, is you can ask questions, and the wisdom you get back. I often do this first thing in the morning or last thing at
Give
night.
us an
And I start to
example.
have a conversation and you realize there's an infinite intelligence that not only can you tap into, you're supposed to tap into. This infinite intelligence is what is supposed to guide your life, not these limited ideas you have about
Give us an
what your life
example.
is and what you should do.
Give us an example of questions that you would ask either in the morning or in the evening before you go to sleep. Just, as a way of understanding, because you said, I'm not sure if that would qualify as prayer, just so I can get an idea. And then you keep mentioning this side of the brain that we're going to talk about, but maybe we should start talking about it right after this example.
Stop. 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 Had enough? Kick out mucus and quiet the cough with Mucinex 12-Hour DM for long-lasting cough and chest congestion relief. Buy Mucinex 12-Hour DM at your local retailer. Use as directed.
Whether you're making a delicious family meal or a post-workout snack, choose the farm fresh taste of Eggland's Best eggs. Only Eggland's best hens are fed their proprietary all-vegetarian feed. That's what makes their eggs more nutritious. With 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 6 times more vitamin D compared to ordinary eggs. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
Questions are, I feel like I'm on the right track. Am I on the right track?
Right.
Or,
Okay.
what's the meaning of this that happened in my life?
Okay. So let's say that from my experience with people and clients, they would call that connecting with their guides. That's a common way of describing that. Okay, now on to that part of the brain.
Right. Well, what I've worked out, I've created a model for how the brain works. And this is a theoretical model. It's, as we talked about at the beginning, it's based on science. So all of these places, and this isn't about the mind, the subconscious, or anything like that. This is 4 physical separate locations between your ears that have different biological functions, all with the purpose of ensuring that you become the best that you can be, you live in the state of homeostasis so that you have the greatest chance for survival.
Okay. Can you give us a name for these places or parts, the upper right corner? I don't know, some kind of reference so we know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the first part of the brain is at the top of your head, sometimes called the neocortex. That's the sort of primary area.
Okay.
And it's what I call the rational thinking brain. And the rational thinking brain, what that literally is, it's a storehouse of all of the information that you pick up in your life. So everything that you experience in every moment through your 5 senses and through your thoughts, it literally goes into this part of your brain and is stored there. And this is really useful because you can retrieve information to make sense of your world. You can identify things later that you've seen before. You can make sense of situations. You can come to some conclusions about things. And of course, we can also communicate with other people because we develop a common language of understanding, all based on information that we've gathered through our life. The second part of your brain, located just below your rational thinking brain, it's the emotional feeling brain.
And it goes
there's a few
across both on the right side and the left side. It's just a level. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is
This
it
is a
called
simple
again,
model,
please?
the second one is your emotional feeling brain.
Okay.
And the scientific names for that, there are various places, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, but these are all responsible for creating emotions. They're responsible for how you feel, good and bad. Very important role to play in terms of deciding how you use your brain the right way, but we'll come to that. Third part of your brain is at the back of your head, situated primarily around your brain stem, and this is what I call your survival brain. And this manages and looks after everything about your moment-by-moment survival that you don't have to think about. So obviously it manages all your physical functions, your breathing, heart rate, all of your organs, to make sure you stay alive moment by moment. And there's one really important feature of the survival brain, which is all to do with your survival without thinking about it, and that is how you deal with or how you defend yourself against any threats or dangers, something that could physically harm you. Because when you think about when the brain was developed, it was a dangerous world that we lived in. There were lions behind every rock when we were walking through the forest, all those sorts of things. So we developed this mechanism within the survival brain to deal with it. And we sometimes call it the fight, flight, freeze mechanism. But we all know what this is. This is if something shows up unexpectedly in your life and it's a threat or a danger, you react. You don't think. It's way faster than that. So you run away, or you shout for help, or you stand and fight, or whatever it is. This is an automatic, unthinking reaction that's taking place in your survival brain to protect you from danger. So there are three parts. We've got the rational thinking brain, the emotional feeling brain, and the survival brain. But the fourth part of the brain, and I'm sure we can relate to this, this is one that spiritual traditions throughout history have been talking about. And science is more recently coming to recognize and put some work into understanding that this is actually in a separate part of the brain. And it's what I call the creative brain. And the creative brain is based around the pineal gland, a couple of other places as well. And this is where, as the name suggests, it's not just where your creativity comes from, but it is where your creativity comes from, but it's where your imagination comes from. It's where your intuition comes from. It's where you get those gut feelings, and you go, we sometimes say there's a little voice who told me I should do something or I shouldn't do something. Now, very often we shut that down and we ignore it, but we know that feeling. Now, this isn't coming from our thinking brain. It's not coming from our thoughts and ideas. It's coming from somewhere else. And people have described this particular function in all sorts of different ways, because when you're in the state of using your creative brain, you have access to all of these resources. You also have, this is where your intuition, as I said, your motivation, your inspiration, all of these things come when you're activating this part of your brain. And people have described this, peak performers have talked about being in the flow, being in the zone, being in the state of feeling in homeostasis, feeling, yes, I am functioning at my best and I'm coming up with great ideas. I'm seeing new opportunities. The right people are coming into my life at the right time. Everything's falling into place. It's really interesting. If you look at, if you were to ask any or see interviews with people who've written music, songs or whatever, and it's always fascinating because whenever they're asked, how did you write the song? Where did the music come from? They always say, I don't know. It just came to me. I don't know where it came from. I didn't think it into existence. And often when we're working on a problem and we can't figure it out and we suddenly get a new idea out of the blue, we would say the same. I don't know where that idea came from. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. That's the answer.
Well,
so this is all coming from this connection to this intelligence, which is your creative brain.
Well, we're left with the title of a book about this, aren't we? And that's when you whip out a book from behind you and show me, because you're an author. Have you written on this 4-part brain model?
No, I've talked extensively on it, and I've got a lot of material on my website about it. There's a book in the works, actually.
Okay.
The book is tentatively called "Let Yourself Off the Hook," because let yourself off the hook means stop trying to force life to happen, because when you do, you're using the wrong part of your brain. You need to allow this part of your brain, stop putting the pressure on yourself and allow this part of your brain to work. And this part of your brain only works without pressure and stress. And there's a biological reason for that. So, but here's the thing, how we're designed to live naturally, biologically, is we're designed to be in this homeostasis state, the state of being in the flow, being in the zone. In other words, operating primarily using our creative brain, because that is the part that will always make sure everything happens for you to be the best that you can be, so that it's not about problems. It's not about stress. It's about getting rid of problems and stress. You know, how many times do we solve problems or problems just go away when we're not really trying, but we're just allowing the problem to solve itself? This is all the creative brain at work.
We will be looking out for that book by author Liam, Liam, Naden, Naden. Thank you so much. I know that you're traveling around with a, what would they call it? A mobile home? No, a trailer home?
Motorhome.
Oh, motorhome. Okay, a motorhome.
Yeah.
And you are currently in, did you say France? France.
Yes.
Okay, and you were in Spain just a while ago. What is the next stop for you?
No idea. Because one of the things that you realize when you use your creative brain is your brain will show you the next step.
Right.
So we just go day by day.
Thank you so much for coming here and talking to us about your model and your ideas concerning creativity and spirituality. It was a pleasure to talk to you, Liam.
Thank you so much, Claudia. It's been a pleasure talking to you too.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow Let's Talk Soul Podcast on Instagram. Let's Talk Soul Podcast is a production of Electricast Media. Our executive producers are Mark Netter and Peter Rafelson. If you like our show and like what you hear, please subscribe and give us a rating wherever you enjoy podcasts. And remember, stay curious, stay inspired, and never stop exploring the depths of your soul.
For those of you who dream of a world where music and podcasts live together in perfect harmony, now, for the first time, Electricast gives you a magical compilation, Pod Till You Drop, Volume 1, where we give you the best in tunes and the best in podcasts. Feast your ears and hear the culture. Available now wherever you listen to music.